curious about what did you guys have to make up language for in the first edition that now, if you had the change terms, the terms are changing because people are creating language that's actually starting to work for people's scenarios?
At the time, polyamory was not an umbrella word that covered all different possible slut lifestyles. And people will still argue with you. The people who like to pigeonhole things, they will tell you that polyamory is this, usually group marriage of some sort. Non-monogamy is that, open relationship is something else, and they all have little rules which I don't even know. I'm supposed to be the expert, but I don't like pigeonholes. So the title is something that came to me as we were writing it. People said, "What are you guys writing now?" And I said, we're writing the Ethical Slut. And all of our friends knew what that meant, immediately got it. And so it became our working title for the book, the first edition. And when we got it finished, we had sort of thought we were going to find it a proper title, Polyamory for the New Millennium, something like that. And Ethical Slut was just so right. It was just the right thing to call the book. So it has kept its title through its second edition, has a different subtitle. But language is just really, really hard. Even in writing a subtitle, I wanted to say A Practical Guide to Sustainable Polyamories. Plural, okay? That got vetoed by the publisher, because if you Google polyamories plural, you don't get the whole field of polyamory.
What do you get?
Nothing. Because I'm the only person who pluralizes it.
But you would have the top ranking. But no one would be searching for that. What else? Or here's a good question. What got left out in the second edition? Like, what did you guys feel like you had to cut stuff out? Was there anything that didn't make the edit for the publisher?
We struggled with a whole bunch of stuff with the conclusion, which I think came out. It got condensed down. We knew it had to be short. But we wrote miles and miles about dualism and pluralism, as I mentioned before. We looked up philosophy books and looked it up online and got fabulous quotes and decided that it was really too abstract for the book and had to be left behind.
Okay.
And I think that what did wind up there was a few paragraphs that just say it very succinctly, more in imagery and metaphor than in philosophical terms.
What,
Not that you needed to have a reason for a second edition, but what was it that made it? Were you guys thinking when the 9th year came up or the 10th, year came up that it was time? Or were people clamoring for it?
It's conventional in publishing, when you've written a book that keeps selling, that you do a new edition every 10 years. That's why there is Polyamory, the New Love Without Limits. You're supposed to change the title. That's why there's a different subtitle. It's supposed to be larger. It's supposed to have a certain percentage of new material. There are actually rules for doing second editions. And the reason you do them, if you have a successful book, is basically to keep it in print and to get it front listed again and go out and go on all the talk shows and basically do a new thing. I thought that was what we were doing when we started, until I realized how much there was I wanted to say that I had learned since and because of writing the first edition. Mm-hmm. That it had enlarged my point of view so enormously, especially the parts that are kind of my territory, which is the stuff about jealousy and communication and conflict and making agreements and all the stuff you would expect a therapist to want to write about. So it turned into, we did it because we were supposed to. It got delayed because people kept saying they were interested in publishing it and then chickening out. And then when we finally had a solid deal with the publisher, we had written bits and pieces and we went back and put them all into a book.
Now that it's, I jokingly referred to a friend the other day, you as a gilf. Like a grandma I would like to fuck.
Oh, wow.
And thank you. But what's interesting is this idea of, I read the book when I was in college. I have given my copy of the book to friends, who are 17, 19. And so I know that there's a much younger audience that's getting their hands on the book. And I'm interested in, I guess, two questions. One, now that you're older and we're such a youth-oriented culture, has being slutty changed for you, and how has it changed? And then, did you and Janet feel the need to like go hang out with the youngins and see if being slutty is changed for them, and did any of that make it into the book, or did it influence the book?
Well, first of all, not Janet, me, usually every time we write a book, I go talk with a few people who are, that's why there are some quotes from other people in the book, who are somewhat outside of our experience. At this point, it's pretty easy, close to home, because I am 65 years old, which makes me older than just about anybody on the scene. But my partner is 26, which gives me some good associations with the younger generation. So I have a lot of information going like through the whole deal. I'm thinking, this is interesting slut truth, right? I have a fabulous partner, and she's 26, and she wants to have a baby. Probably not for about 3 years. So at 3 years, we're going to decide. And I thought about that. I thought, what am I going to do with a partner having a baby at 65, 68, right? And then I was like, finally it came to me that I couldn't think of a better way to spend my old age than in a house with children in it.
Mm.
You know, so I will be more, both a grandmother and a mother to this child. And why not? Why not? Utterly why not? As far as being 65 is concerned, I'm terribly proud of it. My slut lifestyle is, if anything, better and more abundant than it ever has been. I'm having a wonderful time. For heaven's sakes, if you have some idea in your mind that when you get past some age or another you should give it up, just forget it. Because you can go on having a fine, fine time until you can't, wiggle your hips anymore. You don't even have to stand up or even sit up, it's good.
Have you spoken or hung out with Betty Dodson at any time?
Betty Dodson is one of the very few people I know who's older than me.
Does everybody know who Betty is? Or just for our listening audience and people who might be listening to the recording?
My earliest slut practices were in, Betty Dodson used to have a commune here in San Francisco up on Castro and 19th Street. And that was the first place I went to informed play parties. They had taken out, it was a beautiful space.